Hello, YouTubers, friends, compatriots, bootlickers, shills, distillators, peasants, vassals. I'm a useful idiot, and today I would like to talk about Obamacare, and particularly the fact that, as it turns out, Paul Ryan and Mitt Romney love Obamacare, and we now know that. So let's start with Mitt Romney. So first of all, he started his own version of Obamacare when he was governor of Massachusetts, Romney Care. And a lot of Obamacare and the Affordable Care Act, as it's known, are based on Romney Care in Massachusetts. And he was all for that sort of program until he was running for the presidency. And all of a sudden, this whole last year, he was running on a platform of repealing the Affordable Care Act, which of course helps to whip the GOP base into a frenzy. And now here we are 2 months away from the actual election, and Mitt Romney actually comes out and admits that there's a lot of things he likes about Obamacare, and that he actually would probably prefer to just tweak it. And so no surprise there that Mitt Romney would flip-flop, because that's where his expertise lies. But let's move on to Paul Ryan, because this is even more important about Paul Ryan, because through the Freedom of Information Act request, it turns out there's a letter from December 10th, 2010, where Paul Ryan, in spite of his very caustic and explicit criticisms of Obamacare as reckless, irresponsible, and that he would seek to repeal the entire act, as it turns out, he had one hand shaking his finger at Obama for his outrageous health care plan, and then his other hand was digging into the cookie jar to get a piece of the action. So let's get down to the numbers. So the Affordable Care Act provides for a sweeping expansion of these clinics around the U.S., including $9.5 billion for operating costs for existing community health centers and $1.5 billion for new construction. And it was that $1.5 billion for new construction that Paul Ryan was interested in. So he wrote a letter December 10th, 2010 to the Department of Health and Human Services to recommend a grant application for the Kenosha Community Health Center to help develop a new facility in Paul Ryan's district in Wisconsin. Paul Ryan wrote, quote, "The proposed facility, the Bell City Neighborhood Health Center, will serve both the preventative and comprehensive primary health care needs of thousands of new patients of all ages who are currently without health care. And this grant request would be funded directly by the Affordable Care Act, better known as Obamacare." So just like most politicians, for political expediency and opportunism, they'll say one thing in public, but in private, behind the scenes, they will go after the money wherever it is. That's just the nature of politicians. It doesn't matter which side of the aisle we're talking about. And I'm not necessarily here to pick on Paul Ryan and Mitt Romney exclusively or specifically, because there are others that exhibit these same things. In fact, you could pick any politician in Washington, and I'm sure you could find the same behavior with the few notable exceptions, and we know who they are. So Hal Rogers, Republican representative of Kentucky, was another one who was all against Obamacare, but wanted to cash in on it, and as well as Senator John Ensign was another one. And so they all do this. And Paul Ryan, of course, already has a history of this, because he was an avid supporter of economic stimulus under the Bush administration. And he was all for that spending then. But once Obama became president and Obama introduced economic stimulus spending, Paul Ryan was totally against it. And while he was in public criticizing Obama for this stimulus spending, of course, behind the scenes, he was lobbying to get his own stimulus grants for his own district. And that's just how it goes. And there's other examples of this as well. Rick Santorum was also an outspoken critic of Obamacare, and yet he has family connections with a health clinic in his district, and wanted to get Obamacare money for his own clinic, so he would have actually profited directly from that. And one of my favorite examples, of course, is Michelle Bachmann, who is very critical of all these government programs and subsidies and welfare and all that sort of thing, and yet she has over 24 foster children for which she gets over $250,000 a year in government subsidies to help her raise all those children. So, I want to make it clear, as always, that I'm not just picking on the GOP. I try to find hypocrites and liars wherever they are. They're pretty easy to find, and they infest both so-called parties. So it's just a coincidence that I happen to be picking on conservatives today. Most of my regulars know that I like to spread the love around to both sides of the aisle. So this isn't about the GOP specifically. This is just about hypocrisy and deception. And that is the coin of the realm in Washington. So anyway, what a surprise. Turns out Mitt Romney and Paul Ryan actually like Obamacare pretty well. I'm a useful idiot. Don't you be one too.